Me, Alethea, and I am back with another live video for you. And today we are talking about you are not self made. You are not self made. Listen, when we are going through life and we're reaching certain levels of success, I've often heard people call other people self made millionaire or self made this or self made success. But I am here to bust that myth wide open. You are not self made. Now, don't get me wrong, your achievements are great. What you have accomplished is wonderful, but it is very tricky and costly to say that anybody is self made. And the reason that I say that is because when we put that self made title on ourselves, it then can totally ignore people and the resources and other things that have helped us to get to be where we are today. Now, we all know what it's like to experience a pivot, a challenge, something that thwarts us and can take us off course and can really cause us to question where we are in life. And oftentimes, in order for us to get through that, we must seek the help from someone else. And with the work I do in helping people in leadership literally strengthen their resilience and figure out what to do next when life throws those curveballs and those detours, there is no other choice but to reach out and seek the help and the assistance. And when we claim that we are self made with anything that we do, we set ourselves up to be put into a situation where we think that we don't need anyone else and that everything has been by our own merit. Yes, you may have put in the hard work, dedication, the long hours, the time, the sacrifices, but at the end of the day, a bit of humility must come into play. And these are three things that saying that you're self made can cost high achievers. And keep in mind, when I'm saying you, I'm not necessarily talking about you, but if the shoe fits, wear it. And I say that with all sincerity and love, but also a boldness in this. So I have three pointers here, three cautions for you as to what saying self made can really do. That first one is it can cause isolation at the top. The higher that you climb up that ladder of success, no matter what it is, whether it's in your career or your business or some other area of success that you're leading in, the higher you climb while carrying the self made myth, the lonelier it can get. Now, it's already lonely at the top. Those of us who are in certain roles, leadership, business, I've often heard clergy people who say it, entertainers, is that the higher that you climb, the lonelier it can get. Your circle becomes really, really small. But when you put this title of being self made upon you, it can act as if that the evidence is that the actual evidence is showing that you don't belong where you are. In other words, when we say that we're self made, we push people away who can really be a vital help to us. And we tend to ignore people that have helped us to get to where we are. It makes me think of a story that my late grandma told, and I won't call out who the person is. But when she was alive, she talked about this gospel singer, a gospel legend who was a star in childhood, so to speak. This person sang with a gospel group. And, at the time, this was before that person got famous. But anyway, this gospel legend would travel from city to city, town to town. She was in a group. And one time they came to Norfolk, Virginia, and my grandmother and my grandfather hosted them in their home. Now, this was many, many, many years ago, decades ago, when my grandparents were even still young. Well, anyway, as the years went on, years down the road, my grandmother happened to see this person in a concert. And my grandmother went to her, reminded her of who she was. And granted, it's one thing to say that you don't remember somebody, but it's something entirely different to claim that they had never even been in that area or where my grandmother said. So, in other words, she saw the person years down the road, and the person totally ignored the fact that my grandmother housed her, fed her, etc. And it really made my grandma feel some type of a way. Now, I'm older now, and hindsight's 2020, and perhaps the person really didn't remember, but to just acknowledge the fact, well, I don't remember, but thank you for the time that it did happen, that could have meant a world of difference. And that can sometimes happen to people as they move higher up the ladder, is that people can forget who helped them to get to where they are today. And so we must be very, very careful to not isolate ourselves. It's not to say that you have to kiss the butts of everybody along the way and say, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, every time that you see them. No, but the acknowledgement that someone else helped you get to that next level of where you are goes a long way. The second thing that saying self made can cost you is that it creates a ceiling that you cannot see. Listen carefully to this. You will outwork every strategy, every system, and every opportunity available to you and still wonder why you are not moving. The belief that you have to do it alone is that ceiling, that you built it yourself. So when we get into this frame of mind that there's no one else available to help us, no one else available to really get us to that next destination or that next level, we then create a ceiling that is only of our own doing, which then means that there's no need to complain when you tap out of where you're supposed to be. Now, again, do not misinterpret what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is there are times that you have to be very strategic into who you let into your inner world, but we must not fail to forget those who have helped give us a leg up along the way. We must not act as if everything that we did was simply us snapping our fingers and poof, everything happened for us. We had to go through someone. Even if you have a house, for example, you had to go to that mortgage lender to get pre approved. You had to then find the right lender to get that mortgage for your home. Then you had to get a moving company to help you move into that home. There's a lot of different factors along the way that have caused you to be where you are. In the same light, in your career or in your business, especially people who are thriving in business, you may have had the idea, but somewhere along the way, you had to network. You had to open your mouth to ask questions, to hire that right business coach, to get the right people to help you get on the right stages or get the right clientele. When we don't acknowledge them, and the acknowledgement doesn't mean that you have to call them out or say who they are every time, but it's that remembrance of knowing that, hey, I'm not self made. I didn't get where I am off of my own doing. That's when it becomes dangerous, is when we ignore that. And the last thing that claiming that we're self made can cost is the wrong kind of strength. There's a right strength and there's a wrong strength. And the wrong kind of strength is you become very good at surviving, very good at pushing through and getting by. But surviving alone, listen carefully, is not the same as thriving with the right people around you. One produces exhaustion, the other produces an ongoing legacy. So, in other words, you end up taking on the weight of the world for everybody. It's this heroes complex that only you have the answers, that, oh, only I can make this right and I can only solve this. And I have to admit, that's costly and it's dangerous. When we are doing things in our own strength without depending on someone else to at least help to open up the opportunity. It doesn't mean to become codependent, but at times you will need to depend on someone else. You will need to seek someone else. You will need to research something to get where you are supposed to be next. So, this live went on a little longer than I intended, but I think it was necessary. I know that it was. Is that for us to really get to this next level in our life, whether it's in our careers or our business or just life in general? Maybe you're not a business owner, maybe you're not even in leadership, but you needed this particular message. Please avoid forgetting who has helped you along the way. Avoid forgetting the resources that have gotten you there. And avoid doing everything in your own strength. Self made is a myth. I have busted it wide open. You are not self made. Remember that. You have done a lot. Kudos for that. But that is something that even I had to grow out of. And when you do, you will soar and thrive even higher than you already are. And you may already be at the top of what you think is that ladder. But I'm telling you, it can go even higher. Talk to you soon.